Welcome to the Women's Motorsports Network podcast, the show that puts the spotlight on the incredible women who fuel the world of motorsports. From drivers to crew members, engineers to fans, and everyone in between, we're here to celebrate the trailblazers, dreamers, and doers shaping the sport we love. Each episode, we share inspiring stories of females of all ages from every corner of the motorsports universe, past, present, and future. It's a journey through the seasons of life filled with heartfelt moments, laughter, and a whole lot of horsepower. So whether you're a lifelong fan, a racer yourself, or simply curious about the extraordinary women behind the wheel, settle in, relax, and enjoy a fun and uplifting ride with us. This is the Women's Motorsports Network podcast, connecting and celebrating women in motorsports, one story at a time. Let's hit the track. Hello, everyone. This is Melinda Russell with the Women's Motorsports Network podcast, and my guest is Amanda Campbell. She is also a Michigander, just like I am, and so we've been discussing the weather, but we won't do that on the show, Amanda, because nobody cares whether we have snow or what, and so we won't get into that. But we are Michiganders, and it is January, so we'll just let your imagination take hold and figure out, what our weather's like. So, Amanda, I want to welcome you to the show. And first of all, I'd like for you to share a little bit about yourself, your family, whatever you're willing to share with us.
Oh, thank you so much, Melinda. I'm happy to be here. Yes, it's January here in Michigan, so a little chilly. I am in Michigan now, but I'm originally from Southern Ohio. So I didn't move weather-wise that much, but I did move north. So we moved up here for work. Probably, maybe almost 14 years ago now. So it's been a hot minute. My husband and I moved up here for work, and we met actually in college. So that was fun. And we've been together ever since. We have no kids, but we do have a blue tick coonhound who is just as crazy as kids. Mm-hmm. And she's a purebred, so she's a little crazy. We like to call her Psycho Susie from time to time. She's a good girl, but she's a hunter. So, you can imagine how that goes. Sure. She loves going to the racetrack, though. We always laugh because we live so far away from our families, we travel quite a bit to go see our families. And Susie hates being in a car or like the truck. But you put her in that motorhome and she is the happiest dog in the whole wide world. She's like smiling. She's at the track. She's so excited. So we knew she was right for us because we obviously spend a lot of time at the racetrack.
Yeah.
But other than that, we basically race quite a bit. Our season starts in April, goes through October. So we're obviously in the off season right now. It does take up a lot of our time. And then the off season, obviously, time to redo everything between the motorhome, the trailer, the cars. So our free time kind of is spent around, racing, everything that goes into it.
So your life pretty much revolves around racing and your dog, right?
Yep.
Okay. I understand that part for sure. So how did you get involved in motorsports in the beginning? Tell me your story.
Okay. So this is kind of a funny one. I didn't grow up in motorsports at all. My father still does own his own radiator air conditioning shop with cars. So I've been around cars. I know how to work on cars. I've been in that aspect of it. But actual racing wise, I didn't have that until I was in college. Actually, my husband, we were not quite dating yet, but he kept asking me to come to the racetrack and we drag race. So he kept asking me to go to Norwalk, otherwise known as Summit Motorsports Park now, but we still call it Norwalk. Right. He's like, come out here and, come spend the weekend and race. And I'm like, no, I don't know what I want to do that. I'm not comfortable staying a weekend like that. And so he kept bugging me. And it was funny because we actually would be, I'd be in my apartment at college and he'd be at his, and we would be watching Pastime on TV together, right? And we'd be on AOL Messenger, going back and forth of like saying our times, and it was really funny, And then obviously we dated more and more, and I started racing. I raced for many years, racing our stock pole pickup truck, just a Silverado. So I would race it in all the classes. All the trophies behind me are from that, actually.
Okay.
So I'd race in that while he had a Chevelle and he raced in pro. So we did that for quite a bit of time. Then we fast forward, moved to Michigan, took a little bit of time off. He sold this to Chevelle and we started to build a car together. And then unfortunately he wrecked his car, and it was a pretty bad wreck. And where one door closes, another one opens, right? So I wanted to race. I wanted to keep racing, but my two choices were either a dragster or a motorcycle, because we couldn't afford a stacker, and I'm not comfortable hauling my own car. So we had to figure out a way we could fit two things in one box, right? So we're like, okay, that's the options, right? And I was like, well, I've never rode a bike before, so this is probably not a good option. So we found a dragster down in southern Michigan and bought it for me. And I jumped right in it, from going in a Silverado stock pickup truck to at the time, my dragster was only going 550s. We put a little 355 small block Chevy in her, so she was slow. But that was good for me, considering that's really fast from what I went from.
Exactly. You don't want to start out at the top, that's for sure.
Oh, no.
No.
So that's basically my story. And then I was obviously hooked well when I was racing the truck, but getting in the dragsters opened a whole new world for me. I loved it. It's a funny story. So when I first jumped into the dragster, the man that we bought the dragster from was a very tall, large man. Okay. And I am not tall. And we brought the pedals as far as we could forward, put some stuff under my back and, underneath me to get me sitting there, and going out testing weekend after weekend after weekend. And my foot kept, like, something was wrong. Like, you could just hear it. Like, it was not going full throttle the whole way down the track. So we were getting frustrated. And at the time, this was back when the first SFG 1.1 million came to 131. Mm-hmm. And we had a full weekend entry. We had actually one to go. Okay. And Brian didn't have a car, and I only had the dragster. Mind you, I've never been in an actual full competition race in the dragster.
Right.
And at this point, I can't even make a full pass because something's happening. Well, about a weekend before, Brian's like, hey, I'm going to have to jump in there if you're too scared to make the pass. And I'm like, I'm not too scared. I have my foot all the way down. Like, I promise, like, it is all the way down. I'm ready. Well, one of our friends jumped in, and he's significantly taller than me. And he's like, there's no way, guys, that she can keep her foot on this pedal when it leaves. It's pushing her foot all the way back. So we figured it out, put a 2x4, gorilla taped it to my gas pedal. And I know, let me tell you, it was still on there to this day. I staged up for my first round and won my first competition round ever in the dragster. First round out. So that was super fun. Didn't do great at the million because obviously, I was no place for someone like me there. But we traveled over to mid-Michigan. I think it was that Sunday or Saturday racing, and I made it down to 6 cars. So it was so exciting. And we did finally, my car is getting redone at Diamond right now. So the 2x4 will be off the pedal now.
Okay. But that's good to know.
It was a safety crutch, but let me tell you, Gorilla Tape, that really sticks on there for a lot of years.
You could be in a commercial for them.
I know. That's why I should have got sponsored.
Yeah, for sure. You better reach out to them.
But
that's exciting. And so your car's getting redone.
Yes.
So tell me about your car, more details about the car, the color. I know they assign you a number, correct?
No.
Or you have your own number. Mm-hmm. Okay. So tell me about that. How did you choose it? All the details about the car. Sure.
So when I got the car, I just got the paint job. It's a very nice paint job. It's not a paint job that I would have picked, but it's very nice. A lot of people loved it and gave me compliments on it. And for years, I've been telling my husband, I was like, I just want to do something. It's not the colors I want. It's great, but not what I want. So the opportunity came available that I was able to take my car back to Diamond. So my car originally was a 96 Racecraft. But in 2013, Diamond actually put front suspension in it. So while it's a hardtail, I had the front suspension. So it really helped. Yeah. I didn't feel as bad as like a fully hardtail car. But it's back to Dan right now. It's going to get full suspension in the back. And then he is doing a new dash, changing the pedals, obviously, new seat for me. So that'll be nice. So that's all getting upgraded right now. And then it's going to go get wrapped. So I'll keep the pretty paint job underneath if somebody else would like it, but it's going to go to Southern Ohio and get wrapped. I don't have the design yet on that yet. But the colors are going to be black, teal, yellow, and pink. So that'll be what colors it'll be at some shape and form. My car number is 7X7X. When I ran the truck, it used to be 717X. Because my favorite number is 7. It's pretty much the really only reason. And my husband's 3X, and his favorite number is 3. So that's just kind of how it goes. My lucky number 7. 7 has won me a lot of things in raffles and waffles and all sorts of things.
Awesome. So, that's cool.
Yeah.
My favorite number is 5. And I was born in 55. And it's funny when you pick a number like that, don't you just see that number like everywhere? Mm-hmm. It's so funny. Yeah.
My birthday is the 17th. So that's another, either I play 7 and 17 or my like 2 numbers there. Yep.
There you go. For sure. So that's exciting. It's going to be like having a new car.
I know. That's what everybody keeps saying. And we're putting a new bigger motor in it. So I'll go even faster. So the fastest I've ever been is 492. So now we're expecting it to run in the 460s. So
yeah,
it'll be fun.
Too fast. Way too fast for me. So it's funny you talked about, racing a motorcycle. I have several friends that do race competitively in motorcycles, and I have my motorcycle license, and I got my license when I was 50. So when I started dating my current husband, and then he was a motorcycle guy, and then he convinced me that the fun was not on the back, and so then I got my license, I got a bike, and all those things, and so. But I cannot imagine racing a motorcycle. There's just no way. And those ladies are so brave. I mean, anybody that races, honestly, is brave in some ways because it is dangerous and you can get hurt and all those things. But oh my gosh, the motorcycle, it just feels to me like you have no protection, really.
I agree.
I'm glad you chose the car.
I know.
I love my ladies that race the bikes. But I can't do it for sure. But racing the car has to be fun for sure. So you mentioned 131, so that's not far from me. Do you come there and race very often?
Yes, we actually race there quite a bit. Last year was our first year in points. So we used to be just traveling all the time. We'd race around a lot. And we still do travel, but we nailed down last year actually racing points at 131 because we just love it there. Yeah. And so we'll be back again this year for points again, but we're also going to be hitting up some of those bigger money races as well. So we'll travel a bit to Ohio mostly.
Okay.
But we've gone to Muncie. We've gone down to Kentucky. I mean, we kind of travel all around. We're trying to get out to like Virginia, but
yeah, it's fun to travel around. But 131 is a great racetrack. It's a great venue. I mean, it's nice there. The whole setup is really nice. And so, I'm glad to hear that because that's close to me and I can come and watch. So you'll have to make sure you let me know when you're going to be there.
We will be there every points race for sure. And
every points race. Well, that's easy. I can print the schedule and then I'll know for sure.
Yes. Yeah, we love it there. So when we used to live in Ohio, we raced at Norwalk. So coming from Norwalk, which we all know is, huge and like a luxury track, so to speak. And then, coming up here, we call 131 just like a mini Norwalk. It's exactly the same. I love it. If not more at this point. Just because I love that they still have grass a lot instead of, because with a dog, I don't like being on asphalt. Like it's
and you're out in the country, and so it's just a nice setting for sure. And they have nice camping and everything. So, I mean, I haven't been to a lot of drag tracks, but, of the ones I've been to, 131 is the best one I've been to. So anyway. So you and your husband do this. You both race. Do you have marketing partners that you want to share about, or are you kind of on your own?
Pretty much on our own. I will say I also work for the Bracket Racing Elite. So I am the community manager for both Elite, the adult members, and Junior, the kids. Mm-hmm. So working with Luke Bogacki, Justin Lamb, it's Chris Whitfield. It's been amazing. I started there, I can't even remember how many years back now, but I was just transcribing lessons. Okay. And I never knew how much it was sinking into my brain until I'd be like in the lanes and I could just think of something Luke was talking about. And I was like, oh, I got it in my brain now.
Yeah, like, that sounds familiar.
Yeah. That's so cool. I do love doing that. It's helped me tremendously focus and be more mentally aware and strategize better. So definitely being a part of it and working for him as well has just been, it's been amazing, to be honest.
That's awesome.
And we do a ladies chat too. So there's like having the comfort of the other ladies too, because obviously it is still a male dominant sport. Although there are a lot of females in the racing, it still can be kind of difficult. So
there are a lot of females in drag racing. So when I started Women's Motorsports Network in 2017, I lived even closer to 131 Motorsports Park. I lived probably half as far as I do now, which is, was only about 20 minutes away. And I had a young gal I had interviewed, and so she was going to be racing there. So I went up, to see. And, when I started this, I knew there were a lot of women involved in racing, but I really didn't realize how many until I went to that drag race. And there were so many little girls. Like there were probably almost as many little girls as little boys in junior dragsters. Mm-hmm. I was blown away. I couldn't believe it. And then even in all the other classes, way more women than I was expecting to see. And so, I think the drag racing community has way more women in comparison to men than any other. Because like sprint cars, you're starting to see, girls more competitive in sprint cars than that, but at the top series you don't see any. And so I think that's great that there are so many women, and they start as little girls, a lot of them, involved in drag racing, and that's just so fun to see. And there are these little teeny tiny bodies that get in this little teeny tiny seat.
Yeah, that's the coolest thing. Like nothing beats like driving up to the lanes or driving around the pits and you just see, kids, and especially like little girls, like smile or like wave at you or whatever. It just makes you feel so good, like you're making an impact, and that, you can say, yeah, you can do this too. And then ever since since I've been around since it started, but the TWR junior starting and being able to work hands-on with the kids and like really see them grow as drivers and even in their, lives in general. I went to PRI this past year and I was just walking around. I got to meet a lot of people that, are members and things I haven't met before, in person. Obviously we do everything online, but like meeting in person is so different. It is. And I just felt this little tap on my shoulder. And I turned around and it was one of the girls in our group. And it was like so exciting to like give her a hug, and she was all excited. I don't know. That's what's cool. It's, that you're making an impact in someone's life, and especially kids and little girls is just so cool. Like I don't feel like it was way back in the day now, like you said, in drag racing. I feel like there are a lot of more females coming in and, paving the way. Erica Enders does a fantastic job. I know she's come on our podcast a couple times with our kids and stuff. And it's just so nice. Like,
yeah, so many good role models for sure that are in, all kinds of racing, but especially drag racing. It's just how it is, for sure. So, so what would have been your biggest challenge? So you went from a truck to the dragster. What was your biggest challenge other than we already know about the foot pedal?
Well, that was a blessing in disguise though, because I would get so frustrated that the speed difference wasn't really bothering me at that point, because I'm a person, if someone tells me that I'm not doing it right, or you can't do it, or oh, you're trying but not doing it, I'm like, no, I am. I am. So like for me, that was a blessing. Like I was able to kind of forget about the difference of that. I think really the change for me was like finish line driving, which, gauging that big a difference between, because I was still at that time, I was a pretty slow dragster compared to, the faster people going past me. So that was hard. Obviously I'm leaving first and they're chasing after me, going like a second and so more faster than me. So that was difficult learning how to do that. But, I feel like that also helped me as a driver and helped me kind of understand it more and get those basic fundamentals down. Because again, I didn't do it as a kid. These kids that are growing up and being able to be in juniors growing up have way more advantage than I ever did. I had to start, as an adult, in the middle of my adult years to try and, learn all of this. So I think that was.
No offense to you, Amanda, but kids soak things up so much quicker than we do. Mm-hmm. And so, the things they were learning at a young age eventually just becomes, they don't even have to think about it. Where when you start, even if you start when you're 18 or 20 years old, you're 10 years or more behind some of these other kids. So, it does make it more difficult, but it sounds to me like you're doing okay.
I'm doing okay. I am excited. Last year I did get my first actual win. I've made it down, but I've just could not get that monkey off my back and get the win. But last year at 131 during a points race, I won. It was a surreal moment ever. I keep telling my husband this. I'm like, it was bizarre because I remember like I was engrossed in reading a book and they would just call us up and I'd go up and I'd win and I'd come back and I'd sit down and read my book and they'd call us up and I'd go up and it just kept happening. And I wasn't paying attention because it's summer. It's light out, dark, it doesn't get dark till late. So I remember sitting in the lanes and I looked at Bri and he was, going to tell me good luck and walk away. And I looked at him and I was like, well, where's everybody else? I was like, we're like, where's everybody else? Like, it can't be, this is all that's left. And he looked at me and he's like, yeah, you're in the semis. And I was like, wait, what? Like, when did that happen? Like, I was so like, just in tune with like, I knew what my car was doing. I knew what it was. I was just repeating and ended up that was the quarter. Sorry. Cause at the semis, we weren't sure about our best friend was also there and he was down and we're like, oh man, I hope we don't have to race each other in the semis. Well, he got the bye to the final. So I had to race the other person. Okay. And when my win light came on, I was like, oh my God, this is the best feeling in the world. I don't even care who wins because I'm racing my best friend. Like, who cares? This is exciting. I'm winning my first final. If I have to run her up, that's fine. And, we go up there and like, we were both just so excited. Like, we didn't even care who won at that point. And I went up there and did the same thing I'd been doing. And my win light came on. And I was just like, if you could have a camera inside of my car at that point, I was so excited. So I'm hoping to keep that rolling this year. So yeah, absolutely. And you obviously felt very comfortable or you wouldn't have just gone back and read your book, so you obviously felt good about your car, good about what you were doing. And the relaxing part of that makes it, I think, better for you as a driver instead of being all tense and nervous. And so that's good. Make sure you have plenty of books with you this summer. I know. I got a whole pile already.
There you go.
That's the thing. I think it's like getting into that zone and it's so hard to do it, because you're constantly, no matter what sport you're doing, your brain wants to, overthink, analyze and do all that. And you have to have some sort of strategy, but I don't know. That was the craziest thing. I hope I can get back to that zone this year.
Yeah, that would be awesome for sure. So you're a wife, you work, you race, you cook, you clean, you do laundry, you do all those things, right?
Yes.
So, now we're in off season, but during race season, things can get overwhelming. They can get busy. How do you manage all of those things and then still take care of yourself? Because we know that we have to eat well and we have to rest and we have to do all those things. So how would you say you're able to manage all that? Or is there any special things you do to have a routine or take care of yourself?
So to be honest, I actually thrive better with being crazy busy. I'm just one of those people. But during race season, I find it a lot easier to stay like healthy and eat good and exercise more. Because one, we're at the track. We have Susie. We walk her all the time because she needs her exercise too. Otherwise, she stays in the motorhome in the AC. So we're constantly walking her. And Brian and I will just go for walks too. And then eating is so much easier at the track over the last couple of years because I don't bring a lot of stuff with us. I don't bring bad stuff with us. So we kind of just snack throughout the day, really small things like a little plate of vegetables or whatever. So actually I find it way easier during the in-season time to eat better. It's when I'm home, the off season, when it's harder, because everything's accessible. You're here, it's, you don't have something that a race that can take all day that you're engrossed in that, or, unfortunately have to work on something that, time flies by and you're like, okay, it's already done. I'm going to bed and I'm waking up. You're at home, it's so much more difficult. And so, I've been really working on myself the last year to 2 years and really just making sure that I get my time in. Like I have non-negotiables my non-negotiables are, I always have to do at least a mile on the treadmill or walking outside if the weather's okay. And chances are I'm usually on there way longer than that. Like I haven't walked under an hour and I don't know how long. So like, I just get rolling. I watch some shows, just kind of get my shows. Cause we all have our different shows we like to watch, and Brian doesn't like to watch some of the shows I want to watch, or I watch a rom-com or whatever. And I can do that while I'm on. That's my time, right? That's my time on the treadmill, and I get to do that. And then eating is just having a husband that is on board with all of that is so important, at least for me, because it allows us to do it together, and it's not so hard then.
Right.
It's easier. So that's nice.
Yeah, that is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you don't want to be making 2 meals at night or fix him a really actually good meal and then you're eating carrots and celery,
Right.
Yeah.
And it's all in moderation too. I've learned I'm a person, and my husband and I both learned this. We're both the same type of people that like, if we like one thing, like sometimes we can overindulge in that, whatever that may be. So like if I can give myself the moderation and just have like, okay, I'm not going to tell myself absolutely no sweets and no chocolates, because that's not feasible. I still want to have that stuff, right? Christmas, I still ate cookies, but I only had 1 or 2 cookies instead of eating a whole bunch of cookies. And I brought my treadmill with me and I walked still at my family. So it's just making that time a priority. But I will say that I struggled for quite a few years on that. And you really have to, push it. And as a female, it can be even more difficult. I find it to be more difficult. My husband can just go walk and he loses all his weight in like a couple months, whereas like I'm fighting harder. So it's sometimes a struggle there, but you just got to remember that it'll happen, and not every person's the same. And what works for one person doesn't work for another. So for me, I found what works for me, but it took me quite a bit of time to figure that out.
Okay. Well, that's good though. And part of the whole struggle is knowing what works for you. And so once you figure that out, it makes it a little bit easier, at least, for sure.
Yes.
So Amanda,
I will say my husband does help with we have if you cook, the other person cleans in our house. So I always cook. So he always cleans.
Nice.
And he does help with laundry too. So that's nice.
I've tried that. If I cook, he cleans, but it hasn't worked so good so far. So anyway, well, I'll keep trying. So what is your favorite thing about being involved in motorsports?
Ooh, this is going to sound probably terrible, but I love the competition part of it. I'm a very competitive person by nature anyways. So no matter what I'm doing, I'm pretty competitive. So the competition aspect, but the kicker, at least in drag racing, is the competition almost with like your family, because like every person there becomes your family for the most part. I don't think I've ever had a bad experience with someone, maybe once or twice, but not enough that it even triggers my brain. I remember I've been in the lanes multiple times with issues with my car. In fact, the one time was at 131 in a big money race. And the guy in front of me told me, hey, I'll just say I'm broke too, and we'll just wait together. Like, he didn't have to do that. He could have went and took the win. Not a problem. Like, that's the coolest thing. Like, I didn't even know who that person was, Like, I had 50 people in my car trying to figure it out. Like, that's what's so cool is like, at the end of the day, you can line up against your best friend or someone you just met in the pits or whatever it is, and have the competitive nature when you're on the track. But then afterwards, it's like family. And if they need something, they'll be there, thrashing on your car with you. And that's the coolest thing. That's what I love.
Yeah. And I hear that so much. It's so true. It's the family, and it's the family atmosphere. I just talked to a little girl yesterday, and even she gets it, that when I'm on the racetrack, I have to try to beat them, but then we still play, when we're not racing. And it's like, yeah, she gets it. And she was like 7 years old. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so cool.
Do you think motorsports drag racing is a good sport for women to be involved in?
I do. And I think it's, you don't have to be a gearhead to like it either, right? So
Right.
that's what people don't understand. Like, well, I don't know how to work on a motor. I don't even know what happens in a motor, right? That's okay. Like you don't have to. There's lots of people that are just drivers. They don't know. They don't work on their stuff. They have no idea.
Yeah.
I like to work on my stuff, but that's fine. I like to understand how it works. I do think that there's a little bit of an advantage in that. If you understand how something works, it'll help you. But I don't think people should be scared of that just because of that. It's an adrenaline rush, obviously, at least at my speed, it's an adrenaline rush. It's, we usually tell people when somebody on the outside of drag racing asks about it, we say it's high speed chess. So if you like strategy, if you like to strategize, if you like, that type of gameplay situation, that's kind of what it is. Because at least with bracket racing, it's not first to the finish line wins. And how many times people come to the track, they're like, "Hey, you crossed first, congratulations." I was like, "Yeah, no, I didn't win." So
it's a whole different thing to learn, because we're always used to the guy in front wins.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Or, your red light, and they're like, "Oh yeah, good job." I'm like, "No, I lost."
Yeah.
Like, thanks.
Yeah.
Put my salt on my wound there. No, just
there. Rub it in.
Yeah,
right
thanks.
Yeah.
No, but that's what I love. I love that part. I love being able to, people like, how do you do that so fast? I really think it helps us stay sharp too, obviously, like, because your brain has to think that fast. Okay, what am I doing? What's my opponent doing? Are they there? Are they not there? What do I do? There's so many things.
So many things at once that you have to think so quickly. And that's the thing that really bothers me about all motorsports and the people that get on social media, and they're so quick to criticize whatever it might be. And they've probably never been in any kind of a race car, and they have no idea when you're going 250 miles an hour down a drag strip, or you're going, 180 around an oval track, and you got 40 other cars next to you. I mean, you have to really be quick on your feet. And that's the thing, that it's always the people who've never done it that have the biggest criticism.
It's true. And I mean, not just watching there, like knowing your car too. And like, I remember I would tell people for the longest time, my dragster is like a Cadillac. I could just drive it and it goes straight. My steering wheel's straight the whole time, whatever. Well, the one time we finally got GoPros, and I put a GoPro down on my steering wheel, and I left. And immediately when I left, I was doing this on my steering wheel, like turning it back and forth just to keep myself straight on the track because of, wind, surface. There's all sorts of reasons you move.
Right.
And you don't realize it, but they always say you drive by the seat of your pants. And like, it's so true. But like, so even the people that'll be like, "Oh, well, that person just goes straight and fast and they don't have to worry about the other person in the other lane." I'm like, yeah, but you know how hard it is to keep that car to go straight and fast? Like, that's a workout. Like, well, you don't understand.
If you follow drag racing at all, you know that there's a lot of accidents. And, as far as, it's hard to keep it straight. And so if it was easy, everybody would do it, right? And everybody's not doing it. So obviously It's not as easy.
No.
Yeah. So has anybody given you advice that you've kind of tucked away and you rely on it, or a quote, anything along those lines that really kind of has stuck with you?
I guess I have two things. One's related to actual racing. I'll never forget, which is a silly one, but I'll never forget one of our good friends telling me, always make sure when you clear it out after you back up, to make sure you're in neutral, because unfortunately people have had accidents there, they don't pay attention. So that's always in my head. I always make sure I'm checking my shifter all the time. Yeah. And then the other one that I kind of more so live by, do by, think about is that if not now, then when. We only have so much time on this earth. So, making the best of it and living your life is the biggest thing. So like, I try to do that and think to myself, okay, if I'm nervous about something, I'm scared about something, like, am I going to be scared to jump in my dragster in the beginning of April with a new big motor, a whole new setup? I'm going to be scared. Yes. But if not now, then when. I want to race. Let's go. It's only going to be temporary. It'll be butterflies. It'll be done. I'll make my pass and be happy, So I just always try and think of that, because there's some people that don't get that opportunity to do those things. They had to leave this earth quickly or not be here long. So I'm always like, nope, I'm here for a reason. Let's keep doing it.
Well, and like you said, we don't know how much time we have, and so don't have any regrets at the end of your life. Don't be like, oh, I wish I'd have done this. I wish I'd have gone there. That's one thing that, I kind of have kept close is #no regrets. And that's not just about racing. That's about keeping in touch with family, friends, schoolmates, whatever it might be, whatever the situation, no regrets. Follow your prompting to reach out and talk to somebody or whatever it might be. And so the other side of that is because of the cost, and it's not cheap, everybody doesn't get to do it. They can't, they want to, but they can't. And so we have to be grateful too for the things that we're able to do and the things that we can enjoy with our friends and family. And so, yeah, those were good answers. I like that. If not now, when? That's a good one to have close to your heart for sure. So, has racing changed? Like, how many years have you been racing, Amanda?
Oh my goodness, I wrote this down. I've been racing since 2008.
Okay, so 16 years.
Yep.
So, from the time you started till now, what do you think has been the biggest change in drag racing?
Ooh,
or has it changed?
I mean, for me, I don't know. Like, for me, like I'll say a lonely old bracket racer, somebody not on a big stage. Obviously, I think the biggest thing has changed is more of the opportunity to be on those big stages, more of the, I hate to say big money races, but big money races, and being more accessible for maybe not all of us that make a ton of money or travel, or as we call them, the traveling pros, that type of thing, being able to have those at local, like TV promotions that brought the bigger money, the 250K to 131 last year. Mm-hmm. That was awesome. It's so, I know that some tracks in some places still struggle with this. They have their bracket racing program. That's phenomenal. Love a bracket racing program. But trying to get any other events, and maybe it's not even a big money event. Maybe it's a 5K to win. Getting the response from their local racers is hard sometimes to get them to come out to that track because it's not the track facilitating it. It's a promoter that may have different rules, whatever it may be. But I think that's definitely been changing. There's some really great promoters out there, like Peter Biondo. You've got like TV promotions. They're doing really awesome things and giving back to the racers, which I think is important too, because we're the ones coming to these races. So having them be good purses, good entry fees, that type of thing has definitely drastically changed over the years, and for the better.
Yeah, I like seeing that because, we have to give back in some ways. Otherwise, it's going to die. You have to encourage people to, become involved in the sport, even if they don't want to be a driver. Oh, hey, you could volunteer. You could do this. You could do that. And of course, every track at times, a lot of tracks have issues getting people to come, for sure. That's nothing new, really. But the fact that, there's a big money race and then there's this race on the same day and maybe within traveling distance of each other, it's hard not to go to the big money race. And so that leaves the littler guy kind of, fending for himself. And I love when local racers really try and support their local tracks. You can't always go to the big money races for whatever reason. And, those tracks, they're going to be few and far between if we don't keep supporting them. And it isn't, I hate to say this because I'm not the one paying, but it isn't always about the money. I mean, only one person is going to win the big money. And it's bigger as you go down, but there's a lot of other things that you get from racing that are not necessarily in a check. And I encourage people to, where's your local tracks? And, oh, we're not racing this weekend. Then go watch the dirt track, go wherever, support and keep these tracks alive, because that's kind of a passion of mine. Is I just see this track's closing, that track's closing, there's nobody in the stands, and what's going to happen to us if that continues. And so we have to keep in mind that we have to support all the tracks around us if we can, as much as we can, whether it's as a spectator or as a racer.
No, I totally agree. I could not agree anymore. I know that we've invited a lot of non-racers to come out to the track, and families even, and they all love it. They all get very excited. Oh, yeah. And the more that we can have those events, yeah, it's important for the racers. Yes, the money is important. Yes, the payout's important. Yes. Yeah, the racer dinners is great. Like, that's awesome. But having to have the spectators come and watch and get involved with the sport. I mean, one, it sparks the curiosity in kids, because again, they can race when they're kids. It's a great opportunity as kids in drag racing, but to have it be more things that happen, not just racing. Because, with drag racing, unfortunately, there's a lot of downtime in between rounds sometimes. And we're all looking for things to do, right? Like, so having those extra things happening, I know Peter comes to mind because I know he does like the Easter egg hunt for the spring fling and things like that. I mean, it sounds silly. Golf cart races, it's silly. It's things that are, but it's things that help keep everybody engaged and doing things too. When we're not on the track.
One of the, not the first race I went to, but one of the races I went to early on at 131, it was so hot and humid. And my friend was racing, and, she raced, which takes, 10 seconds or whatever. And then we sit for 3 hours. And especially it's probably true of a lot of tracks, but 131, they had so many entries that just was taking forever. And that's what I could not do week after week. I love to read too, but after a while, I cannot just sit there and wait 3 hours in between. I want to see the next race. And yeah, you can sit and watch them, but it's not the same when you're driving the car. And you do have a lot of downtime. And to me, that's the only thing that I've seen about drag racing that I don't like. Everything else is great. But for me, who wants to always be busy, that's a really hard thing to adjust to.
It is hard. It definitely is. I mean, obviously, as racers, we try and keep busy, or a lot of times, unfortunately, working on ours or someone else's cars. But, it does take time. Luckily, like at the bigger money events, at least for us, 131's bracket program is bigger, but not massive enough that it takes that long between rounds. Yeah. So that's perfect. It's actually a really perfect amount of time to cool down, especially on those super hot days. But on the big money races, since I drive a dragster, my husband has a door car, we're usually separated. So it's almost like he goes up, we have to watch him and then come back. Then I got to go up and then he comes back. And then like, if we're doubled, then it's like, there's sometimes between us and what we call our family, which is our close group of friends. But there's a lot of times that we just like, we look at each other, but all of a sudden it's like 10 o'clock at night. And because, we're kind of a group that's like, we don't ever have our family dinner and all that stuff until everybody's done racing. So it's like, we're constantly going, and then we'll look at each other like, wait, what time is it? Like, we're still going, because it's just been like round robin back, all constantly. So it's kind of, it depends, it depends. Sometimes it can be a lot, but I know for spectators, it can be kind of daunting to be like,
and especially I was there to just watch her, had I known a lot more then, like I do now, it would have been a different story. And I don't mean to be negative about it, but that's just one of the things of it, especially the more cars there are, and that's a good thing. We want lots of cars. We want lots of people involved. So, that's
absolutely.
So I'm sure you use social media to promote yourself or tell about, what you do. Why don't you share where we can follow you, where we can watch what you're doing, that kind of thing?
So I actually am probably one of the one persons I don't do. I do have it on my Facebook page, but I have a private Facebook page only because I'm the community manager for This is Bracket Racing
Oh,
Elite.
yes.
And I can't, unfortunately, with the world of, people hacking into your stuff all the time.
Yes.
I do I keep that one private just because I vet who I let in, because I can't afford to lose my access to Facebook.
Yeah, exactly.
But I am on Instagram. I kept that one at least open and public, and you'd think I would know my handle, but I actually don't. So let me look at, A Campbell 7x7x. So super simple there. So that I do post the same stuff racing related that I do on Facebook for both.
Okay.
So
this organization, whatever that you're helping with, do you want to share anything about that, or?
Yeah, sure. It's This is Bracket Racing Elite is our adult program, and then This is Bracket Racing Junior is our for kids. Both of them are a membership driven program taught by world champions on how to race, basically everything from setting up your vehicles, both big cars and juniors, to strategy, to mental preparedness, and everything in between. And basically we have a private little community that you can basically ask any questions that you want. We let lessons out every week. We have live chats. It's a thing right now. We're in the off-season practice tree league, so we do that. It's a pretty fun thing to get the last 3 months of the winter out of the way. And it's a really great community that is all racing. It's all bracket racing. And then for your super class racers as well. So we have some people that are running your super gas, super comp type thing as well. So I manage the community. So I do everything for all the members, anything they need. I take care of that all the correspondence and things goes out. I take care of all that. And then we just ended open enrollment for the juniors. So we just have a new group of juniors. We only open enrollment twice a year for both of them. So juniors is just ended in December. So we have our new group of juniors in there. And the cool thing about the juniors is they get to take this like placement test when they join, and it puts them into a level. So like whatever knowledge they are in racing, it puts them in a certain level so we can advance them and grow them as a racer. So that's really cool for the kids. For the adults, it's just kind of an open program. They can come in and learn, obviously, at their leisure. But Elite, actually, we open enrollment January 13th. So here in about a week or so, we open enrollment for about 3 weeks to come in.
And how would somebody do that?
You just go to thisisbracketracing.com and /elite. Even if you just end up on our homepage, thisisbracketracing.com, it's there. You can find us on Facebook as well. We blasted out all the open enrollments as well. You can also feel free to always message me directly, Amanda at thisisbracketracing.com. I don't have a problem getting either one of you fixed up with junior or elite, doesn't matter. And invite all the females in. Girls, I'm always trying to get girls in. I know we have quite a lot of men in the group. But like I said, we do have a specific ladies chat. Erica Endes has joined us a couple times in the past, which has been super cool to chat with her in a private group setting. With a handful of ladies, that's super cool. So kind of fangirl moment there, but so exactly cool. But we have a lot of we have a sports psychologist that's with us too. So like she helps us with the mental preparedness. It's just a lot of fun. So I definitely encourage, even if you are a female, to definitely still join. We do have a close group of women that are racers too.
And just the collaboration between everybody is a good thing to be a part of.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's great. Even if you're like, there's so many times people will be at the track. It happened to me actually at the summer fling at National Trails at Columbus. I had a transmission break the case and I was in this big money race. So, I'm messaging everybody I know, but I can put a post on there, and it's like a network of people, no matter where you're at. It's so cool. Right. Like we have members over, in the UK, Australia. It's so cool. It's like, man, if I go there sometime, I can, meet this person that's a racer over there. So yeah, we're all over the world, aren't we? Mm-hmm. We are. Yeah, we really are. So cool. It's crazy to think about it, but it's so cool. It really is. I just interviewed a lady from Spain earlier this week or last week. So you just never know where they're gonna come from and what their story's gonna be. That's the fun part, is telling the stories. So Amanda, is there anything we haven't talked about that you want to make sure that we share on this show? Oh gosh, no. I mean, other than, if you're interested as a girl to go racing, I encourage you to go to whatever track it may be. If it's not drag racing, go to your circle track. When I was a little kid, I loved going to motocross. That's probably why I leaned toward the bike a little bit. But it's, you know, it's something that we don't want to die off, but I don't want anyone to ever feel like it's something that a female can't do, because we can. Racing doesn't know a gender or who you are behind the wheel. Doesn't matter. It's the person driving it. So, and it's just so much fun. Even if you go on a daily driver, try it out, you know, try it out. What's going to happen?
And, you know, the other thing about that is, you know, we always talk about how expensive it is. Okay. There's most crafts or hobbies are not cheap. Let's just start there. Right. Mm-hmm. And so don't let that stop you either, because you never know who might come out of the woodwork, or who you might know who would be like, hey, I'm going to help get you started. This is what you need to do. And so don't let that be a deterrent either. You know, maybe you're going to volunteer on a team for a while, then you get a chance to be a driver. You just don't know the path. And so don't let any of those things stop you. If it's something you really feel like you want to try, get out there and do it. At least you'll know, yes, I like it. No, I don't. And you'll never wonder. And like you said, if not now, when? So do it.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, you don't know. And the money is not an issue there. I mean, yes, there are people that have spent a ton of money in their race car in any motorsport, right?
Yeah.
That's not the reason why they win. So
no,
it can help. Sure. Maybe a little bit, but I won in my old hardtail dragster. You know what I mean? So that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at the end of the day. Just get out and try it. Or at least if anything, go out and spectate and watch, because that's important too. We need that too in all motorsports.
Absolutely, it is, for sure. Well, Amanda, thank you for spending time with me today. I really appreciate it. If any snow comes my way, I'll send it on over to you so that, you know, you're not left out. I want to make sure you get your share. And hopefully I'll get to 131 when you're racing this summer. I'll try to put those points races, and then I'll reach out and make sure you're going to be there and that. But I'd love to come up and meet you in person and watch you race.
That would be awesome, Melinda. I'd be so excited to meet you in person. Definitely keep that snow your way, though. Don't send it my way.
Yeah, thanks. Well, I'm going to end the recording, but just hold on for a minute, and I'll get with you when it's done.
Okay.
That's it for this episode of the Women's Motorsports Network podcast. We hope you've been inspired by the stories I shared today and feel more connected to the amazing community of women in motorsports. Remember, whether you're behind the wheel, in the pits, or cheering from the stands, your story matters. And together, we're driving change and celebrating every milestone. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe, leave us a review, and share it with someone who loves motorsports as much as you do. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram for updates, behind-the-scenes content, and more incredible stories. So until next time, stay inspired, stay connected, and keep racing through life. This is the Women's Motorsports Network podcast, where every woman's story is worth celebrating.